Alright guys, again it's Jerningham here. Apparently the Royal Mail to the cuts of 2,000 jobs restricting performance in the UK. So it means a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs over the coronavirus. And we know already with people, loads of people have gone on universal credit in the UK because of the coronavirus and lost most of their jobs. Especially the airlines and everything else. I'm watching the adverts on the TV as well. Just talking about the weather and stuff. We live in strange times. Which is kind of irritating. Some people wish this nightmare would end, but it's still going on. Been here for a long time. They're still trying to make a vaccine for coronavirus. They haven't made one yet. They think they got some kind of vaccine, the dextrochloroquine, whatever that is. I've read a bit of news about it for the ventilators that people are on it, coronavirus symptoms. Who knows? Things can get better before they get worse, I think. If that makes any sense. Too many adverts on the TV. Why is there so many adverts on the television? We got China versus India. Let's put this on.
Diversification is the best way to reduce risk. This time-tested advice has been followed by successful investors around the world. It also holds true for big businesses, companies like Foxconn, an electronics giant that is best known for manufacturing the iPhone for Apple.
I get a bit carried away.
Now, Foxconn is a Taiwanese company, but it has kept most of its factories in China. According to a 2010 report, Foxconn has 12 factories in 9 Chinese cities. The bulk of Foxconn's factories are in China, but the company wants to change that, and it is looking at India as a potential alternative. Foxconn's chairman, Liu Yongwei, was speaking at the company's annual general meeting. There he described India as a quote-unquote bright spot for development. Here's what he said about Foxconn's India plans, and I'm quoting, "We are fully pushing ahead with next steps there, and maybe in a few months' time we can reveal on our website the next steps and report back to everyone. We'll have further investment there." This is a green light from Foxconn. It wants to invest in India and scale up its operations in India. But why does Foxconn want to diversify? This is a company with deep inroads in China. What risk is Foxconn trying to mitigate by expanding its operations in India? Well, the fact is that these are uncertain times. It's just too risky to bet everything on China, especially for a company like Foxconn that is headquartered in Taiwan and supplies to the world. And the growing tensions between China and Taiwan might just force Foxconn to look for a less hostile environment for its investments, because China is ramping up military activity around Taiwan. Taiwan's Premier Su Seng-chang issued a warning to China today. He told Beijing, focus on fighting the resurgent coronavirus in Beijing rather than, as he put it, disturbing Taiwan with military drills. Well, what is he talking about? China's military has been busy, not just at the border with India, but near Taiwan too. The PLA has been conducting drills near Taiwan. Taiwan claims that China's Air Force has buzzed Taiwan at least 8 times in the last 2 weeks. Reports say China sent fighters and bombers into Taiwan's air defense identification zone. The planes were pushed back by patrolling Taiwanese jets. Clearly, China is trying to impose its territorial claims by using its military. Taiwan is responding in kind. Amid the growing military threat, Taiwan is prioritizing the development of its defense industry. Just yesterday, President Tsai Ing-wen oversaw the first public test flight of an aircraft that is built in Taiwan. It's called the Brave Eagle. It's an advanced jet trainer built at a cost of a little more than $2 billion. The timing of this test is significant. China is stepping up its military presence near Taiwan. Taiwan is responding by building more weapons. Beyond the Brave Eagle, Taiwan is also developing submarines. Its military has been asked to remain vigilant. China is trying to make more incursion attempts. Almost every day now, there are reports of Chinese planes entering Taiwan's airspace. Despite the push for domestic defense manufacturing, Taiwan still depends on America for a lot of support. And the United States is not backing down. Fox News reported today that there are now 3 American aircraft carriers operating in the Pacific. A clear show of force after Chinese aggression near Taiwan and in the South China Sea. Taiwan is fighting China on multiple fronts. In response to the PLA's aggression, Taiwan has thrown its support behind the protesters in Hong Kong. Last week, President Tsai declared that Taiwan will provide humanitarian assistance to Hong Kong.
Our thoughts today are with the people of Hong Kong. Taiwan has joined the international community in urging the Beijing authorities to honor their obligation to respect Hong Kong's fundamental freedoms. We do not believe in merely looking on as others defend their freedom. As the situation in Hong Kong continues to deteriorate just weeks before the 23rd anniversary of the handover, Taiwan will continue to provide necessary humanitarian assistance to the people of Hong Kong.
With tensions now at an all-time high, businesses are wary. Any military escalation will put their investments at risk. Companies like Foxconn are deleveraging from China. This is India's chance. Step up its efforts to lure more businesses away from China.
Interesting. What would one say about that? What would one say about that now? Anyway, let's try and find this other quick video and then we can end it. And then, let's see. Where on earth am I looking here? Trying to find something. Right, nope.
American dream rooted in a mother's dying wish.
I promised her that I would do it on my own since I worked for so many people for so many years. So I decided to open it, and my mom passed.
Sorry if the volume's a bit low.
We opened the shop.
But now her flower shop is on the brink of permanent closure. The pandemic cutting sales by 80%, and the federal aid that was promised to small businesses like hers doesn't seem to be coming.
There's billions of dollars that are there. I'm hoping and praying that with our determination, each one of us, that we'd be able to receive something.
See, the flower businesses are struggling because of the coronavirus as well.
Many small businesses who desperately need the money and are running into one roadblock after another as they try to navigate the government program meant to be their lifeline. With some so frustrated that they're taking their grievances to court.
It was just a brick wall. Every time you went in, there was a brick wall.
Now, signs of incompetence and big business influence are starting to surface. Critics decrying the millions handed to well-established corporations.
A cast member of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta is now accused of taking federal money.
One man even being accused of spending his loans on luxury items like jewelry and cars. While people like Torres are running out of time.
When everything falls, like it's a domino effect.
It's all tied to the CARES Act, passed by Congress in March to help revive a crumbling economy. An all-encompassing $2 trillion aid package meant to help the millions of Americans impacted by COVID-19. A quarter of that aid money has gone into the Paycheck Protection Program, designed to provide financial relief for small businesses and their employees. At least 100,000 small businesses have permanently closed since the
probably some people don't
March.
take it seriously, the coronavirus. They think it's just a normal flu, but it's not. It kills people, though.
Claims for unemployment benefits in just the
And it
last
takes
13
some people's lives
weeks.
silently, like you knowing.
In this small community here that I'm aware of, only one has received one of the grants. All the others that I know of have not received anything yet.
Rosie Torres is one of those minority female business owners the president said would benefit from the program. But with no federal aid and business declining, she's had to lay off 3 employees.
When did it start to really hit you how concerning this would be financially for your business?
Maybe the first month that we were closed, having to, pull from our savings to make sure even for the people that work here was a big concern. How are they going to feed their families?
Torres says she spent months caught in a PPP runaround, trying to get responses from banks who were put in charge of processing the loans.
First, I used our bank that we use for our business, and they referred me to a different source, never got a reply. So I decided to go through a different bank, and they referred me that I would have to have a business loan through their bank, which we didn't. So I called the SBA here, but I got a returned email saying that they weren't accepting them anymore.
You basically tried to apply for these loans through, it sounds like, 4 different banks.
Yes.
Meantime, large corporations like Shake Shack, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and the LA Lakers altogether initially received nearly $35 million in loans due to loose guidelines that qualified them as small businesses. And after facing public backlash and outrage, all 3 returned the money. But even the businesses who managed to receive the money are realizing that PPP may not be a fail-safe solution.
For most of our employees, this was their first job ever.
Biddy & Beau's, a coffee franchise that employs people with intellectual and physical disabilities, has been Amy Wright's pride and joy. After a COVID shutdown, their reopening day was one full of hope.
Can you tell I'm smiling at you?
Yes.
I'm happy to see you.
After receiving PPP funding in early April, they were singled out as a prime example for the program's success, earning a trip to the White House.
We will continue to take up the charge and help everyone, especially people with disabilities, pursue the American dream.
But the loan money, which was intended to carry her business during the shutdown, has been spent, and now sales are down 90%. Wright says she used the loans to keep her 120 employees on payroll and pay off rent and utilities for 8 weeks of the national shutdown. She's now had to lay off half of her employees.
There's a sliver of me that was hoping that we would prove everybody wrong, and this would be the one place that people would just pour back into. But the reality is it's still a scary time.
While people like Wright use the money to keep her business afloat, there are fears that others may have been using the money fraudulently. Former Love and Hip Hop Atlanta reality star Maurice Fame, aka Arkansas Mo, received more than $2 million for his transportation company. Federal authorities allege he spent most of those funds, more than $1.5 million worth, on himself, buying fancy jewelry and leasing a 2019 Rolls-Royce. He was arrested on federal bank fraud charges in May, but his lawyer Tanya Miller says Mo should be the least of everyone's concerns. Is he prepared to give that money back?
I certainly am not commenting on his defense because that is the subject of a criminal investigation. We really need to be looking at why it was that some individuals in connection with larger corporations were able to pay back money and continue on with their life, and other individuals are on the opposite end of a federal indictment.
Fame denied using any of the PPP loan proceeds to pay his personal debts and expenses. Critics say that's part of the problem, that we don't know how the money is being used and who received the funds.
We don't have the data.
California Democratic Representative Katie Porter helped sponsor the CARES Act.
Do you think Congress passed the bill too quickly without fully understanding what they were signing away?
We were having to face the reality that the coronavirus pandemic was unfolding quickly. Cases were skyrocketing, and I think even at that time, I'm not sure we fully understood. So we acted quickly to try to get those resources out there because we were hearing from small businesses, we can't make end-of-the-month payroll in March.
Porter thinks total transparency is necessary.
It's absolutely not enough to only have a portion of the data. We need to have a look at the entirety of the program.
Rosie Torres has yet to receive any PPP money. Instead, last week she noticed a random $3,000 deposit in her bank account. It was federal grant money from a separate disaster loan fund she had applied for earlier this year.
So your wedding party is with you?
Yeah. At the time, she was told it couldn't be fulfilled because funds had run out.
There's a gap somewhere that it's not being filled in to be able to help people.
While she's grateful for the money, she says it's only enough for 1 month and could disqualify her from receiving more money through PPP or other grants.
We would be hoping for the best to have something that would help us from the government to not be able to pay it back, but just say, okay, you're going to work for this. It's a grant. We're going to help you. We're going to pick you up. But if not, we'll just start all over and start from the beginning, which is not hard. We'll just keep doing it.
For now, all she can do is cling to hope.
The American dream is to own your own home, have a family, have a business. So we're just going to keep fighting for that American dream.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
Well, I hope you've all enjoyed the video, guys, but give it a like, give it a comment, share it with your friends, and I'll be back in the next video. Peace.